Trucks and drivers move our economy. The South Carolina Trucking Association is an alliance of businesses that use and depend on trucks. They're celebrating 90 years of service that impacts every single consumer. Here to talk about how trucking is everybody's business is Rick Todd, President and CEO of the South Carolina Trucking Association. Rick, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. First, I want to hear a little bit about what you do and what the South Carolina Trucking Association is.
Well, first for your listeners, it's important that they think about that nothing happens without trucking. So therefore, trucking is everybody's business. And the trucking industry, we call it, is really not one industry. It's an eclectic mix of industries, all having in common that truck and that truck driver. And the Trucking Association is a 90-year-old alliance of businesses that use trucks. They all have that truck in common.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, can you talk about the trucking industry here in South Carolina specifically, what people should know?
South Carolina is home to 24,000 individual truck owners, registrants, 65% of which have one truck, which means they're either owner-operators or just really small businesses that have that truck to serve their own purposes. And 95% have 10 or fewer trucks. So we're really an industry of small businesses.
What do you feel like people don't know about the trucking world?
That it is purposeful. People don't joyride. That truck is out there for a reason. It costs too much and there's too much risk for it to be used, for joyriding purposes. And that it is fundamental to the economy. Today's truck is really the modern equivalent of what was the Stone Age cart. It's just evolved with technology and all that. And that truck drivers perform an essential function.
Definitely. Can you talk about the supply chain and everything that goes into that for people who might not know about that either?
The supply chain is really the logistics sectors, all kinds of players involved in logistics supporting the supply chain. And really it's like a symphony of performers with no conductor, but somehow it works. And every sector of the economy, every service, you name it, has its own individual supply chain, but they are all very interconnected, as we saw like after COVID.
Yeah, and what's changed in the industry?
Everything, but then again, nothing. The equipment has evolved, technology's evolved. We've always struggled with qualified workers, with traffic conditions and roads and risk and liability, keeping up with technology. But so while it's the same as it has been for 90 years since the first truck, it's really rapidly changing and just getting more complex.
Definitely. Can you talk about the economics of the trucking industry?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot to talk about with that.
Well, truckonomics, your listeners would think about it this way as highway users. What you want is a profitable trucking operation, because if a trucking operation which does its business on a public highway, with all that risk and all those uncontrollable variables, you want it to be safe and you want it to be profitable. And you can't be profitable if you're not safe. And so if you are profitable, then you can plow those profits back into newer, better, more efficient equipment, cleaner equipment, keep your drivers employed, pay them well, keep them motivated, and invest in technology to increase efficiency and hopefully profits.
What can the community do to help truckers?
I would say for car drivers, well, all drivers share responsibility for safety. And so car drivers, truck drivers do this naturally and they're trained as well. But car drivers should always try to keep in mind that they need to manage the space around them. That's about the only thing they can control, is the space that they make around them. To manage their distractions, which happen naturally, just the way the human brain works and with all the other stuff out there to look at. And then manage just the inherent fatigue that will set in from time to time. And if they can do that, then I think we have a better share the road experience.
And if people want to learn more about this industry, maybe they want to get into this industry, or they just have questions, how can they contact you guys?
The South Carolina Trucking Association, sctrucking.org, and we also have a campaign that we've got out there that's Trucking is Everybody's Business.
Perfect. Well, Rick, thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.